So we're on 146, 147. This week's story is an Encyclopedia Brown case. It is titled Encyclopedia Brown and the Case of the
Slippery Salamander.
Very good. And our genre this week is realistic fiction. And it says down in the corner of 146, it says realistic fiction tells about events that could really happen. Doesn't mean it did happen.
No.
No. So it's something that is based in like a reality, what we could consider, something that we could consider is really could happen, right? So if someone, it'd be like if one of you sat down and wrote a story about our classroom. Can you have aliens and like dinosaurs and things like that? No, that's not realistic fiction. That's like science fiction, right? But if we wrote a story about a problem where I lose something, I don't know, like my computer's missing. That could really happen, right? And that would be a problem, yeah. So that would be more realistic fiction. It also says that as we read, we should think about how.
Attention.
Oh, that's we're way off there. Okay. It's the second sentence under realistic fiction. It starts as you read. Touch it with your finger so I know you're ready to follow along. Touch it with your finger so I know you're ready to follow along. As you read, think about how the events in the story are similar to events in real life. That's another way to make stories more interesting, is to think about maybe if you have common experiences, or think about situations where you've maybe felt the same way. Chase, sit correctly. I know if you need to get up and get some wiggles out, you can stand there, but we don't want to sit incorrectly on the chairs. Remember our question of the week. Our question of the week, everybody ready to read it? It's in bold lettering. What does it say? How can attention to detail help solve a problem? Okay. So, taking a look at this, we always take a little preview. Take a look at the title and the illustrations and the captions that are found in this story. And you're going to make a prediction about what this could be about. Go ahead, take a little story walk, flip through the pages, see what we're not reading it, right? We're just looking at the pictures, looking at captions. Making some predictions about what we think this might be about. Everybody have their prediction?
Yeah.
Okay, what's it going to be about, Falcon? Yeah, well, but you're formulating a thought. You're trying to figure out what's going to happen. I like it. It's definitely probably going to involve a salamander because you read that in the title. Hey, Porter, what's your prediction for the story?
What?
Porter.
For what?
Okay. Hey, Porter, what's your prediction for the story? What's going to happen? Did you know that that's what I was going to ask?
I just didn't hear you very well, so I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. What's your prediction for the story, buddy?
I don't even know. It does sound a little interesting, though.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen? I asked the students to take like a picture walk through the book and look at the pictures and the all the other stuff. What do you think is going to happen in the story?
Maybe they're gonna explore some.
The lady's gonna what?
Like explore, maybe. No.
Okay, I didn't catch the last word. All I got was the lady's going to. Elizabeth,
What the heck is that?
Porter back on. Okay, thank you. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Probably a mystery of some sort of salamander.
Why do you think it's gonna be, well, it does say that. It says the case, okay, it says the case. How did you get mystery out of it?
Because it looks like he's lost and he's thinking, it looks like nobody knows.
Very good. Okay, so we're on 148 now. We're gonna start reading. I know you got one, but we gotta.
I know,
keep moving. Otherwise- Oh, we got a half.
It's not about that. It said on there, one Porter was talking that your internet is unstable.
Oh, my internet is unstable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's been doing that. Okay, we're on 148. If I stop, you read the word. To a visitor, Idaville looked like an ordinary seaside town. It had churches, 2 car washes, and 3 movie.
Theaters.
It had bike paths, sparkling white beaches, a synagogue, and plenty of good fishing spots. But there was something out of the
Ordinary.
about Idaville. For more than a year, no child or grown-up had gotten away with breaking a law. People wanted to know, how did Idaville do it? The secret resided in a red brick house at 13 Rover Avenue. That was where Idaville's police chief lived with his wife and son. Chief
Brown.
was a smart, kind, and brave man, but he wasn't the one who kept crooks from getting away with their crimes. No, the brains behind it all was his 10-year-old
Son.
Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia's real name was
Leroy.
Leroy. Encyclopedia's real name was,
Leroy.
but only his parents and teachers called him that. Everyone else called him,
Encyclopedia.
because his brain was filled with more facts than a,
Reference book.
remember all yellow words you read, because his brain was filled with more facts than a,
Reference book.
reference means what? Something to,
Something to give information or help you.
something to get information from or help you. Sometimes the Brown family was tempted to tell the world about Encyclopedia's
Amazing
talent as a crime solver, but so far they hadn't leaked a word. For one thing, the Browns didn't like to boast. For another, who would believe that Idaville's top detective was a 5th grader? One Monday night, Chief Brown sat at the dinner table staring at his plate of
spaghetti.
So far, he hadn't slurped up a single strand. Encyclopedia and his mother knew the reason. The chief wasn't eating because he had come up against a
Crime.
that he couldn't solve. Encyclopedia, oh, what's a crime? Something that's against,
Something that's done against the law.
yep, something that breaks or is against the law. A violation of the law, yep. Oh. Who's trying to join? Oh, Porter. Hey, Porter, welcome back. All right. Encyclopedia waited for his dad to tell him about the case. Whenever Chief Brown was, what does it mean if you're stumped? 3, 2, 1, class,
Means you're puzzled or confused.
puzzled or Encyclopedia cracked the case for him, usually by asking just one question. At last, Chief Brown looked up. There was a theft at the aquarium today, he said, rubbing his forehead. Last summer, an aquarium had opened near the
Beach.
The most popular attractions were the giant shark tanks, the dolphin shows, and the Den of Darkness. The Den of Darkness was a huge indoor,
Exhibit.
what's an exhibit? Maddie, it's some type of show or art. Yeah, a collection of art or some collection of something that you can look at. Of
Reptile.
which are cold-blooded animals with scales or
Shells.
nope, spikes. Because not all reptiles have shells. Some, but all of them have scales and some of them have spikes. But I feel more of them have spiky pieces than shells. Okay, and
Amphibians.
amphibians are cold-blooded animals with smooth, moist skin. Amphibians are cold-blooded animals with smooth, moist skin. Encyclopedia especially like visiting the frogs and salamanders are amphibians that look like, oh, you don't, hey guys, just listen instead of trying to like guess what I'm gonna say and like match it with me. Usually I'm telling you and then we'll repeat it, okay? So salamanders are amphibians that look like lizards. Amphibians are, or excuse me, salamanders are amphibians
that look like lizards.
in the amphibians section. Okay, so taking a look at this, I know that a character in this story is a person or an animal that's taking part in the events of a story. So on the first page here, we've read about Chief Brown. We've read about Leroy, who's real, or Leroy's his real name, but he goes by
Encyclopedia.
yeah, Encyclopedia. So in the last paragraph, I read that Encyclopedia has an amazing talent as a crime solver. Now, this detail is going to help me make a prediction about the plot. I have a feeling that Leroy is going to be the one solving the crime. And the plot is the events in this story, right? Okay. How do we know that Leroy is very intelligent? We're looking on 148. What does the author write that lets us know that Leroy is very, very smart? Gavin. Why do they call him Encyclopedia? I guess maybe. Okay, but how do we know that? The author writes something and it tells us he's got a lot of, having the name Encyclopedia, yeah, that would seem like it would indicate he's pretty smart, but maybe there's more to that. Braden.
That he has, his brain is filled with more facts than reference book.
That's the perfect answer. That's a great answer. Great. If we were playing The Price is Right, we'd all be saying that to Braden right now. Great answer. Great answer. Braden's absolutely right. It says that he has more facts than a reference book. And a reference book we know is a book of facts, so we would expect it to have a lot, right? Okay. Why would not being able to solve a crime prevent the chief from eating? Why do you think that that's keeping the chief from eating? Rajan. Okay, he's upset because he can't solve it. Ava.
Maybe because like Rajan said, he can't solve it, and maybe because they might be doing a crime right now, but he's too busy thinking about the other one.
Okay, Danielle. Yeah, you guys, he's stumped, he's puzzled, have you guys ever had something on your mind so much so that's bothering you? It probably bothers him that he can't solve it, he's frustrated. You guys ever had something on your mind so much that you can't really do anything else but just sit and think about it? Yeah, hopefully you guys don't have that happen too much since you're only 9 and 10, but okay, we're on 150, 151, we're gonna continue on. I hope the great white sharks weren't stolen, Mrs. Brown said with a smile. That would certainly take a bite out of business. You see, Braxton, that's funny because she said that it would take a bite out of business, and sharks are known for their biting and sharp teeth. That's what makes that funny. Okay.
Like Julia.
Chief, think it instead of saying it. Chief Brown shook his head. It wasn't the sharks. Encyclopedia put down his fork and listened carefully as his father explained that Fred, a tiger,
Salamander.
had been stolen. Fred was shipped to the aquarium only 2 days ago, Chief Brown said. He was being kept apart from the other animals until the officials were sure he was healthy. If he got a clean bill of health, he was to go on next month. You have any clues, dear? Mrs. Brown asked. The chief frowned. Not many. All we know is that the salamander disappeared this morning, sometime between 10:30 and 11:45. Why would someone steal a salamander? Mrs. Brown wondered. Fred is the
Aquarium.
only tiger salamander, her husband explained. From what the director of the aquarium told me, someone could sell him for a lot of
Money.
Really? Mrs. Brown's eyes widened. You think a visitor might have stolen him? It's very
Unlikely.
Chief Brown replied. Employees and volunteers are the only ones who have access to the in the den of darkness where Fred was being kept. Chief Brown told Encyclopedia and Mrs. Brown that 3 people had been working at the exhibit that morning. Mrs. King, who volunteered at the aquarium every Monday, Sam Main, the man in charge of and maintaining the exhibits, and Dr. O'Donnell, an expert on
Reptile.
and
Amphibians.
did you question the 3 of them? Mrs. Brown asked. The chief nodded. Dr. O'Donnell spent the morning examining a new
Crocodile.
from
Australia.
Sam Main told me he was busy cleaning out
Exhibits.
and feeding some of the
Lizards.
lizards are 4-legged reptiles with long bodies and long tails. Very good. Several people saw him working, Chief Brown added, so it looks like he's telling the truth. What about Mrs. King? His wife prodded. If you look up there, you can see Fred the tiger salamander. He's got part of his tail in the water, part of it out. There's also the den of. I assume that lady on 151 is Mrs. King. I assume the guy with the jeans and the mop is probably Sam Main. And the gentleman holding the tail of the crocodile must be Dr. O'Donnell. So I know that steal and take are synonyms. If I take something and I steal them, they have similar meanings, right? So if I look up steal in a thesaurus, I could see that an antonym to steal might be to return. To complete the analogy, I need to find an antonym. So here's how this works. I need to find an antonym to take. So a analogy is like this. Steal is to take. Those are the same, right? As return is to give. There you go. You guys see how this works? So sometimes they have these on standardized tests and they'll give you 2 words. They'll say, steal is to take as return is to something. So you look at the first 2 that they give you. Steal is to take. They are the same as return is to give. Yeah, you look for another synonym. Make sense? Okay, very good. How does Mrs. Brown interact with Chief Brown when they talk about a crime? What does she do? Braxton. Okay, well, what's she doing a lot of about the crime?
Oh, like asking a bunch of questions.
There you go. Yeah, I knew you could get it. Just gotta listen to that's pretty much all she did the entire time was ask questions. So she asks him a lot of questions, and then he explains all the clues that he already knows, right?
Mhm.
Why do you think on page 51, Chief Brown, or the author, I guess, is the one writing it, why did the author include these details about who had access to the den of darkness? That's how you have to say it, by the way. So anytime it comes up, you have to say it that way. It's a rule. Talk with your partner. Why does the author include those details about the den of darkness?
Because
It's supposed to be like a mystery story. Yeah, and mystery stories
Yeah, because if there was anyone that
you know.
no one could, anyone who's like a visitor, how would they get access to the Den of Darkness? Isn't it like in the Den of Darkness?
Hey, Mackenzie, why does the author include that list of people who had access to the den of darkness?
Because I'm pretty sure a friend lives in the Den of Darkness. And how would a visitor get like behind it?
Okay, so one had introduced us to Fred Main, and you think that he might live there. Go ahead, but I think he just comes there to work. He's like the janitor or the custodian. Hadley, why did he include that? Oh, but you're right, I do want to touch on that. It does let us know that it wasn't probably a visitor going in that back room.
Because we need to have like suspects and everything.
Ooh, I like that word. Say that word again. He's giving us the,
Suspects.
yeah, and we need to have suspects. Finish your thought.
We need to have suspects in a mystery, else it's not really a mystery. And he also said that the beginning of when he's explaining that no one else can get back there.
Okay, so one, it tells us that it's probably one of those three. They're the main suspects. And when you have a mystery, you have to have suspects, because for readers, now hopefully what all of you guys are doing as readers is thinking to yourself, I wonder which one did it. Right now, it seems like we should be does it seem like we should be leaning towards Dr. O'Donnell?
No,
Does it seem like it is Sam Main if people saw him cleaning?
no.
Right now, like Miss Brown said, we should maybe be, well, she didn't say it, but they haven't told us about Mrs. King yet. So right now, as a reader, I'm taking inventory of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, I wonder if it's Mrs. King, right? Okay, that's where we're gonna stop for today. You can close your books. We're gonna put those away. People in the Zoom meeting, that's all I got for you.
I shall see you tomorrow.
And we will see you tomorrow. Some of you here, some of you maybe not, but we'll see you tomorrow.